Hey guys, today we want to talk about how do we build trust with your new income, right? But if today's your first time joining us though, welcome. My name is Michael Foley. I'm a certified financial planner and a certified student loan professional, and I'm also the son of two doctors. And Lifestyle Creep's all about helping to meet healthcare workers where they're at in their finances and hope to inspire them to live more humble and quiet lives. Right? But let's dive in. So, what does building trust with your income even mean, right? This is something that until you go through it, you don't really know what I mean, right? And so, as you go through this transition of coming into higher income, a lot of times it's a foreign concept. Sometimes, we see clients that are making now on a monthly basis what they maybe made all of the previous year, right? And so, but sometimes it's almost, we don't know that it's going to continue coming, right? And it's this weird time frame that we have to kind of get to know what is this new income and what can I be doing and how can I be making the most of it, right? So step one that we really want to be building trust with our income is build a budget. We have to identify what is actually coming into our situation, what are our regular expenses that are coming out of our situation, and how much is left over, right? So we cannot identify or build trust with our income until we have a general idea of what does your lifestyle cost right now, right? A lot of times, it may have shifted and we might have already seen some lifestyle creep happen, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But we just got to know what we're up against so that we can identify, where is the money going right now, okay? But then once we identify, okay, how much is left over? What is our surplus? I like to, give people the visual of a fire hose. So think of your surplus income as a fire hose, and we're trying to figure out where do we want to direct that. And so what's really attractive and really enticing for people is to take that fire hose and obliterate one fire and then just focus on one thing, and then all of these other things are just dying for water at that same time, right? So instead, what another strategy that we typically like to recommend is we want to automate the basics. So we do want you to continue kind of focusing energy on singular goals, because research tells us that's the best way to do it. However, what we also want to do is make sure that we can use technology in our favor. So if we know that we need to automate some savings to our emergency reserve to get that built up, or we know that we need to be saving X amount of dollars for kids' education or for retirement, just automate it, right? And so set that up. And so think of that as adding some nozzles on the end of your fire hose, right? So instead of just one big fire hose, we're adding a couple nozzles and just let those flow, okay? So that you can be watering several things at once without having to think about it, right? But one thing that you really want to be thinking of though is all of these additional expenses that you'll start coming into. A lot of people, once you start making more money, all of a sudden there's a ton more things to spend money on, right? But the biggest, tip that I could give you is don't go stabbing holes in your hose before we even know how we want to be using our surplus income, right? So we see, unfortunately, a lot of people go and poke some holes in their hose. And what happens when you poke holes in a hose, right, is the flow at the end of where you really want to be directing that it stops or it slows quite considerably, right? And sometimes patching those holes are a lot more painful when we're going backwards in lifestyle than people want, right? So if we can catch it before we start to see that incremental increase or that lifestyle creep, don't go poking a bunch of holes before we set our nozzles, right? If there's other things that we want to be spending money on, be intentional with it, but don't let it happen by death by a thousand cuts, because we see all of a sudden someone who used to spending $3,000 or $4,000 per month in residency and was living just fine, all of a sudden can't figure out how to spend less than $20,000 a month, right? And it's not because they're trying to live lavishly, it's just that death by a thousand cuts. They just have a bunch of holes in their hose already that we got to identify, right? So we can really, if we already feel like we're in that situation, the building a budget step is going to be really eye-opening for you to really identify, are these expenses where my money's going that I'm working so hard for? Is that actually aligned with where I want to be spending money, right? And that can be a good eye-opening experience for you as well. So hopefully this has been helpful to kind of give you some ideas of what to be doing with that new income when you do come into it, and hopefully help you inspired to be living more humbly and more quietly in your own lives. So thanks so much, and we hope to have you join the next episode. Take care.